the IWGP World Heavyweight Champion, 2024 Tokyo Sports MVP, first ever British G1 Climax winner, Zack Sabre Jr. How are you, sir?
Yeah, I'm very good. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Uh, have you had the time to like really let this year sink in? It's New Year's Eve your time. But have you had the time to like really let this sink in just how big of a year this was for you?
No, not quite. I mean, obviously, like each individual sort of goal was the focus, but I mean, it's a blessing and a curse having the most important events of the year at the beginning of the year. So we'll see how the Dome goes, and then perhaps I'll get to relish in it a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, that's man, when you really look at this year and all of the things you've accomplished this year, I'd imagine that is a lot. Like even just the things I rattled off to start us off. It's a lot. Very historic for a foreigner coming in to win the G1 and the Tokyo Sports MVP on the second guy to win it since Bob Sapp since 2002. Those are like big, massive accomplishments.
Uh, yeah, yeah. I guess objectively, I mean, it's obviously been the most successful year of my career. Uh, yeah, I wonder how Bob Sapp feels about me taking away his mantle of being the only foreigner to win Tokyo Sports MVP. Uh, yeah, I think wrestling, like, I think probably any anything that you're aspiring for, but pro wrestling is such a continuously forward moving industry that obviously winning the G1 was a lifelong career goal, but then by the next day we had the press conference for the title match, so it's already you're sort of focusing on the next thing. So yeah, I'm sure these will be things that when I'm that I'll appreciate. I mean, of course I appreciate them fully now, but there'll be things I'm able to reflect on when I've stopped wrestling and no one cares, and I'm just the crazy old man in a pub telling people like, I won this tournament in Japan. They're like, yeah, sure you did. Yeah, sure you did. Yeah.
Yeah, everything has been moving very fast since you won a G1. I mean, as soon as you won it, you bet on yourself and challenged right away for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. Didn't wait for Tokyo Dome. I think
Yeah.
going into it, people were like, "Wait a minute, can he pull this off?"
Yeah, well, I think I've been a New Japan fan or a Japanese pro wrestling fan for longer than I should say because it revealed my age, I'm sure. But yeah, so I mean, it's in the sort of Bushiroad era, the G1 winner would challenge at the Dome, but for the majority of the time that I sort of grew up watching New Japan, that wasn't a sort of set precedent. So I'd never sort of associated those two things as being intertwined with each other necessarily. But more importantly, the nature of having challenged for the belt twice at Ryogoku, like to win. Like I had some really big matches at Ryogoku, but I think I've lost basically all of them until the G1. So some of it was trying to vindicate uh, past errors, but there's something really beautiful about Ryogoku. I think obviously Korakuen to Western fans, I think Korakuen Hall gets a lot of rightful acclaim, but just the nature of the aesthetic and the history of Ryogoku, the fact that the G1 finals are in the building that hosts the sumo tournaments in Tokyo, I think that uh, that symbolism is really important to me. And I think to be able to and obviously that's the hub of our big events in Tokyo as well. So for me, you know, knowing that King of Pro Wrestling, we always have a big Ryogoku event in October, so that appealed to me much more than being able to challenge for the belt at the Tokyo Dome. Like the ambition was always to enter the dome as the champion. I think that the image of that I think is much different. I was really like these two both dome events are really incredibly important to the future of New Japan. So I knew the relevance that it would have to walk in as champion, as opposed to for challenging for the belt on my fourth attempt. Having lost like three previous title matches, I think I knew that I needed to enter the Tokyo Dome as champion to sort of erase that past perception of me.
Yeah, definitely erase those two losses in Ryogoku, with the big win at the G1 and then coming back and winning the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship in your match with Naito. I saw recently where you said your career starts here. Um, do you mind like talking us through like what do you mean by that?
Yeah, I guess it's somewhat facetious for someone that's been wrestling 20 years. But also, I mean, it's always the cliche is that if you should always say you've been wrestling for less time, and then people are more impressed. Like, yeah, if I'd been wrestling 3 years, I think I would have had a career like an all-time career. Uh, but I felt like I'd been working to reach the top in Japan for 13 years. Like, I first come to Japan for pro wrestling Noah and joined the dojo in 2011. I know I'd always, I'd had success. I've won, tournaments and championships both in Noah and New Japan, but I'd always been one step below that. So like I genuinely feel that winning the G1 was able to, I mean, not only to prove broadly to the company, to the fans, to the wrestling industry widely, but more to myself that I'm capable of being like not only a champion but also someone to lead New Japan like that. That aspect of being champion appeals to me much more than the egotistical aspects of I'm the champion. Obviously the to be the champion, especially in New Japan, gives you immense responsibility, and that's something that like I've been seeking out as opposed to shying away from.
Yeah, I would say, timing is a big thing in wrestling. So it sometimes just feels like it's somebody's time. And I don't know if you remember, but like right after Forbidden Door, I'd seen you. I was with my buddy Emilio and Swerve.
Oh
And I said
yeah,
at the time, I was like, I'm ready. I'm ready to see you win the big one. And you can see this groundswell of support online and from the Japanese fans as well. Like, how did it feel for you as a guy that's kind of played a bad guy for a good amount of your career to see this amount of support?
yeah. Well, I think I mean I was overwhelmed by, of course, like the Japanese fans are very pragmatic. I think they obviously they pay attention and are familiar with the journey of a wrestler, especially as a younger foreign wrestler. When I first went to Japan, I think I was 22 or 23. But still, yeah, I wouldn't have expected the atmospheres that I had at the G1 semi-finals and the finals. But then also to have it reciprocated, like with Western fans as well. I mean, it felt like both for like, well, I was overwhelmed from the response from the G1, then obviously when I won the championship as well. But yeah, it sort of felt similar to like winning a Champions League or something, or your local sports team winning. So I think I think the time, yeah, I mean, timing is paramount. I think I would have been capable. Well, I mean, obviously I didn't win the belt, so I wasn't. But in theory, I felt from the time that I won the first New Japan Cup in 2018, and then even when I won the cup again a couple of years ago, I think I was capable to be champion, but I don't think I was capable to be at the front of the company or to lead the company. With all of the other responsibilities that come through, media or just having that perception that okay, like Zach is ready now. So yeah, I don't regret any aspects of the journey because I feel like I think it's always better to be overqualified than underqualified, and fingers crossed I'm at least qualified now, and then hopefully I'll prove that I'm overqualified.
Yeah. Speaking of which, you do have quite a daunting task ahead of you, heading into Wrestle Kingdom as champion, facing a young up-and-comer in Shota Umino, hoping to be the first foreigner to retain a world championship in the main event. No pressure, right? That's kind of a on the
Oh,
hot
beyond
seat.
beyond no pressure. Uh, yeah, under the Wrestle Kingdom banner, there's not been a foreigner to leave as champion. But that was a big aspect of why I wanted to enter as champion rather than challenging for the first time, was to already sort of establish myself in that sphere. Um, yeah, and also, I mean, I've been since I joined New Japan, I've been involved in every Wrestle Kingdom in a title match of some capacity, but it's obviously a huge jump up from where I've been before. But that aspect is the most invigorating to me. Like, outside of the direct goal of wanting to main event the Tokyo Dome and obviously win at the Tokyo Dome, being able to approach the way that I wrestle, in the largest room possible that we have, like that is very motivating to me because I think I can provide something completely different from perhaps what the stereotype of a Tokyo Dome main event like can or should be. And I think I can also, do something not outside of the box for me, but play to the room that it deserves.
Yeah, I mean, not just the big shoes coming into this, but a lot of the other names that main evented this show no longer being there, whether it be Kazuchika Okada and Jay White, but stepping into those shoes and then also stepping into those shoes across from a guy that has been heralded as one of the next up and comers for the company. And I know coming through the G1, you were saying how you didn't like how you were looked over by some guys and how soon as, some of the other guys left, you were still here. You're the guys that could be the vanguard for this era. So how does it feel to be kind of this obstacle for Shota Umino to get past of like, yeah, people are heralding you as next up, but you still have to get past me.
Well, I think so. This is going to be the first Wrestle Kingdom main event without Tanahashi, Naito, or Okada. I think in 12 years or so.
Wow.
So even though this is my first Tokyo Dome main event, I have to wrestle and to show everyone that there's a reason why I am in the main event. But I see the responsibility more broadly is to be able to bring up, a young wrestler like Shota, who's also main eventing for the Tokyo Dome for the first time. But I see that our situation's completely different. I have a 20-year career, so I feel it's sort of arbitrary that it's my first Tokyo Dome main event. It's my responsibility as the most experienced wrestler and also someone that's achieved the things that I've done this year. But I'm very confident. I've known Shota since he was a young lion. We've wrestled, quite regularly since he returned from excursion. Like, I think I have the most confidence in him. I mean, I can't speak for him, but I feel like I have the most confidence in him being worthy of that challenge. So it's sort of a dual purpose responsibility to prove that I'm a Tokyo Dome main event level wrestler, but also bringing my opponent up with me through somewhat torture, if not kind torture. I don't know. I think that's probably somewhat contradictory.
Yeah, switching gears a little bit. You do, like I said, we are moving very fast. You do have a match the next day on July 5th against another guy that made his name in some ways in New Japan and Ricochet. Um, how does it feel being a part of the first Wrestle Dynasty and doing a cross-promotional show? I know we've done them before with AEW, but having such a big marquee match this time around with Ricochet.
Well, I've been involved. So I mean, obviously this is separate from Forbidden Door, but it's in the same sphere. So I've been involved in all three of the Forbidden Doors. And I think it was always inevitable that we'd do something on Japanese soil. But I think the fact that it's happening for the first time in Japan at the Tokyo Dome, which is the largest venue we can run, I think, is very important to me. I was somewhat surprised to see Ricochet diving at me in a full suit and dress shoes from the top rope, which speaks paramounts to Ricochet's balance and skill, because I don't think I could do that in gym shoes, let alone loafers. But yeah, I think this year's Wrestle Kingdom will be looked upon as a massive turning point in a generational shift for New Japan. But I think to have it back to back with the first official AEW, of course there's Ring of Honor and Stardom involved as well, but the match that I'm involved in is New Japan versus AEW. So I think we're able to sort of equally re-establish ourselves in Japan and then also on a global scale as well. And then this, for me, Wrestle Dynasty, I plan on very much entering as champion. So the match will be for the IWGP World Heavyweight title. And if it's for the title, it would be the main event. So I think Wrestle Kingdom is the last sort of accomplishment for me to make as a foreigner. I couldn't be the first foreign G1 winner, but I was the first British winner. I couldn't be the first foreign IWGP World Heavyweight champion. I'm not the first Tokyo Sports MVP winner. Sorry, Bob Sapp. But I can be the first foreigner to enter and leave Wrestle Kingdom as IWGP World Heavyweight Champion. But from Wrestle Dynasty, then, and from 2025, like more broadly, all of my goals and ambitions will be just achieving things as a New Japan wrestler. So no New Japan wrestler in history has defended the championship twice in back-to-back Tokyo Dome events. So that's what's driving me right now.
Yeah. Again, no pressure, right? Just
Yeah. But the good thing is, I guess I'm fortunate that the biggest accomplishments in my career have come somewhat late. Because otherwise you could sort of fear that that's the beautiful thing about wrestling. You can never achieve everything. So I think as opposed to sort of being overwhelmed by what I achieved this year and like, how can I outdo it? It's like, well, when I said it's somewhat facetious that my career felt like it started by winning the G1, but I think this is the beginning of my career on this high level. So I can't think of a more perfect way to begin the year with 2 Tokyo Dome main event victories. And then also I have a match lined up for Battle in the Valley a few days after against Hechizero as well. So my ambition will be to leave the Tokyo Dome as champion, and then I think make history by defending the IWGP World Heavyweight title 3 times in technically a calendar week. I think San Jose is a Sunday, so essentially a week. That I don't want to get ahead of myself, as I have 2 potential title matches at first, but I'm already thinking about next year's achievements.
yeah, definitely going to be a clash of styles with you and Ricochet. Ricochet, of course, high flyer, super acrobatic, but you have popularized for some people the catch style, world of sports style. You have a game plan going into this for Ricochet?
Well, me and Ricochet have wrestled all over the world. It's somewhat sort of ironic that our first singles match in Japan is going to be at the Tokyo Dome, but we had traveled and wrestled extensively. There was a period when I was living in the States in 2016, 2017. I almost saw him every week, and then even when we'd be abroad, whether it was Germany, across Europe, or the first time I went to Australia, I wrestled him twice. So it was somewhat of a constant in my life. I think the one takeaway that I always felt wrestling Ricochet was how I think he's deceptively strong. Like, he's an incredibly strong wrestler. Obviously, I think he's. Will Ospreay obviously says how much of an influence he had on him. I think obviously people think about him being, broadly a high flyer, but I think he's much more versatile than people give him credit for. And I'm interested to see how he's going to approach not only the scale of the match at the Tokyo Dome, but I think, he's entering the heavyweight division, having been, a very accomplished junior heavyweight in New Japan. And, obviously I'm a ginormous behemoth of a heavyweight, so he's going to have to adapt to that aspect of me. But I know, Ricochet's a superb wrestler, and he's very, astute with Japanese wrestling. So I think he's going to understand the gravity of being not only in the main event but challenging for a heavyweight title. So I'm unsure what to expect, but I hope that I think he's going to surprise everyone, and then hopefully me. But there's not any tricks that he can have up his sleeve. I presume he's not wearing the suit for the match. I think I wrestle very well with high flyers because it leaves a lot open for opportunity. But
Yes,
likewise, I'm not going to be expecting. I won't be expecting the junior heavyweight of New Japan Past with Ricochet.
yeah. Guys are totally different wrestlers at this point compared to where you were at certain points in your career. So yeah, it will be interesting to see how you guys match up this time. Speaking of styles, like your style of wrestling is such a big part of, who you are, and it's such a big part of like this year for you in particular at having a match with Bryan and really showcasing technical wrestling. How important was it to you to keep that style and stay true to that as a heavyweight?
I think most of it is subconscious. I mean, that's just the way that I wrestle is the way that I genuinely feel passionate about wanting to wrestle myself. It doesn't mean that I don't broadly think that wrestling should have an incredibly wide variety of different styles. And some one of my favorite matches of all time is Onita and Great Sasuke in an exploding cage match. So I love all forms of wrestling. But as far as what inspires me now and inspired me from the beginning was always technical wrestling. And then with my background beginning wrestling in Britain, like I always just resonated with that style more than any other style that I've been involved in otherwise. So it's really, I mean, part of it is feeling a responsibility to keep aspects of that style alive, but I mean, just selfishly, it's just the way that I enjoy wrestling the most. And I think whether it outside of wrestling, whether it's music, art, or film, or anything sort of creative, I think if you're pursuing something that you genuinely feel passionate about yourself, then it's sort of effortless. You don't really have to make a conscious effort to pursue that style. But yeah, to be able to, I feel very fortunate to have been able to wrestle Bryan twice. In for now his retirement period, but I expect that Bryan will be back if he's physically capable of wrestling. I'm certain he'll be back, but as to whether we'll get to wrestle again, I don't know. But I'll certainly be waiting for the decider. But to be able to to be able to wrestle Bryan in both America and Japan in close proximity was very important to me. And then I would never have presumed to be able to sort of have that match on an American pay-per-view either. So I think it's a testament to professional wrestling fans as well as to how open-minded they are for it to for it to have been received the way that it was.
Yeah, I would definitely say that was a passing of a torch moment to you this year from Bryan.
I've not tapped him out yet, so I
That
mean
is true.
he graciously said that I was the best technical wrestler in the world, but I don't know if I can take that mantle until I've beaten by submission. So get your ass back, Bryan.
Heard it here first. Got to come back and get that third match. Speaking,
I'm an environmentalist, so I won't be using any single-use plastic to aim for him. So I'll only be using submissions.
yeah, it is wild that that all happened 2 days before you won the championship, and I saw a lot of people saying online because again there was this big passing of a torch moment for you. Um, he gets taken out, carted out of the ring, and then you went 2 days later, and you're like the king of catch wrestling in Japan.
Well, I mean, I've been aiming, to be the best technical wrestler in the world, like my whole career. I wasn't hoping that it would come uh, at the with Bryan being attempted to be murdered. So it would have been somewhat more enjoyable if he was still alive. But I think he's okay. But yeah, and then likewise, would have I would have loved to have been able to defend the title against Bryan. I mean, I plan on being IWGP World Heavyweight Champion for the foreseeable future. So we'll obviously have to see. But yeah, I guess some melancholic symbolism of of people attempting to murder Bryan while I win my first championship. Yeah.
Also, there's a match that I was looking forward to this year, and I was kind of wondering, is it something you still would like to get back to next year? when you were a television champion, there was a stare down with Joe, and I thought at one point you were going to have this big battle of the television champions, and it never came about. Is that still an opponent that you'd like to face sometime down the line?
Joseph of the Samoas, I think, as I think the sole representative of the Isle of Sheppey is Sheppey Zack. I think it's the island battle that the world has been clamoring for. It was obviously unfortunate that that match never materialized. Obviously Samoa Joe is one of the best wrestlers in the world, and obviously had an incredible AEW title reign very recently. Sadly, it will not be for control of broadly television at this point. But obviously my focus moving forward will be domestically on New Japan, but it's still a world title, and given the close connection and collaborations that happen with AEW, then that is something that I would definitely be eager to make happen. We have to find a neutral. Well, I guess Japan would be neutral islands for both of us. So if he wants to make the fight, then I think that's something I'd be eager for.
Yeah, I mean, Forbidden Door will be in London next year. So
That's easier. I can go visit my family before. Yeah, although we could do it. It's a shame. Perhaps we can do it on the Isle of Sheppey the following day. I think I made my debut on Sheppey in 2004, so I'm long overdue a triumphant return.
yeah, that's all I have for you. Have a lot coming up this weekend. Two big matches coming up on January 4th and January 5th. Be sure to tune in to Wrestle Kingdom on New Japan World, then tune in the next day for Wrestle Dynasty on the same platform. But this has been Phil Lindsey of Bleacher Report, Zack Sabre Jr. Appreciate you.
Thank you so much, mate. Yep, we're on sign up New Japan World. I think 999 yen. The exchange rate is very positive for non-yens right now. And then both events are free on New Japan World. And also you can stay signed up because we're going to have a very, very strong year. And there should also be some other exciting things happening from January and February. So yeah, sign your asses up, newjapanworld.com. 999 yen. A bargain. A bargain.
You heard the man. If you're not signed up, sign up for New Japan World right now.
There we go.